That's part one. And that's part two. Please join me. Nigun Kislev.
Lovely.
Just in time. All right, well, page 142, we can sing Shalom Aleichem. Shalom Aleichem, Malachei HaSharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Barchuni l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeitchem l'shalom, Malachei HaShalom, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Shabbat Shalom to everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
Nice to be together. Annette, so nice to have you to share the bima with this Shabbat. As Cantor Cohen is off in Chicago. So it's really, you know, on Shabbat, that beautiful song we just sang that's so traditional as we welcome Shabbat Shalom Aleichem is about welcoming in the Shabbat angels, about creating this space in wherever we are, whether it's our home, the synagogue, to invite in kind of these extra souls that can be with us, to accompany us as we gather for Shabbat. And I think it's such a beautiful idea that no one is really alone on Shabbat, that no matter if we're in a family of one or of many, that we have extra visitors that are with us. And that's part of what it is to be in community on Shabbat, to be here in our congregation. I know many are here for different reasons, some just because it is Shabbat, and others have come for simcha or for memory as well. We have, I know, those who are here who are in the beginning days of mourning, and to the Rebeck family, we offer our condolences on the loss of Bud. And to others who have come near the end of Shloshim, this end of this first period of mourning, and we'll be sharing a few reflections. This is our practice to invite you to remember briefly a loved one. We are honored to have their memory with us as well tonight. So we're going to continue with the lighting of the Shabbos candles, and I want to invite Danny and Matthew Levinson to come up to lead us in the reading. It can be found on page 121.
Thank you, Rabbi. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own way, be among those who kindle light.
That's right, Yossi. Oh, yeah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
We'll turn now to our Kabbalat Shabbat as we welcome in Shabbat with this series of psalms. We'll start on page 131, Shiru Ladonai.
Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Shiru Ladonai, Shir Chadash, Shiru Ladonai, Kol Haaretz, Ya la la, Ya la 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 la, Ya la la la, Ya la 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 la, Ya la la la, Ya la 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 la, la 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 la, Ya la 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 la, Ya la 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 la, Ya la la la, Ya la 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 la, Ya la la la, Ya la 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 la, la 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 la, Ya la la la, Ya la la la. Shir Ladonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Basaru miyom liyom, Yeshuato. Shir Ladonai, Baruch Hu Shemo, Basaru miyom liyom, Yeshuato. Ya la la, Ya la 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 la, Ya la la la, Ya la 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 la, Ya la la la, Ya la la, Ya la, Ya la la la, Ya la 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 la, Ya la la, Ya la, la 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 la, Ya la 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 la, Ya la la la, Ya la 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 la, Ya la la la, Ya la la la, Ya la la la. And we go to page 134. Zamru Ladonai, singing unto God. Let's go. Zamru Ladonai, Bechinor, Bechinor, V'kol Zimra. Zamru Ladonai, Bechinor, Bechinor, V'kol Zimra. וכל זמרה זמרו לאדוני בכינור וכל זמרה זמרו לאדוני בכינור וכל זמרה. One more page. 136. We sing Mizmor LeDavid. Mizmor LeDavid, Havu l'Adonai bnei lim, Havu l'Adonai kavod va'ozan, Havu l'Adonai kevod shemo, Shachavu l'Adonai behedran kodesh, Kol Adonai al hamayim, al hakavod ha'irim, Adonai al mayim, mayim rabim, Kol Adonai ba'koach, Yai-lai-lai, Yai-lai-lai-lai, Yai-lai-lai-lai-lai, 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 I'm ready for Lachadodi.
We're ready for Lachadodi. Page 138. We'll join as we welcome the Sabbath bride with this beautiful poem. And when we get to the last verse, we'll let you know to rise to face the door.
Lechadodi likrat kala yadadai 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 b'nei Shabbat mekabela yadadai. Lechadodi likrat kala yadadai 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 b'nei Shabbat mekabela yadadai. Shamar v'zachor b'dibur echad, Hishmeyanu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shmo echad, v'shem u'tiferet v'lidhila. Lechadodi likrat kala yadadai 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 b'nei Shabbat mekabela yadadai. Lechadodi likrat kala yadadai 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 b'nei Shabbat mekabela yadadai. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha, ki hi mekor ha'beracha, merosh mikedem nesucha, sof ma'aseh b'machshavat tefillah. Lechadodi likrat kala yadadai 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 Shabbat nekabela. Verse 5. Hitoreri, hitoreri, ki va'orech kumi ori, uri, uri, shir deberi, kevod Adonai alayich nilach, lecha dodi likrat kala yadadai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Yadadai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Yadadai, boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam besimcha uv'tzehola, toch emunei am segula, boi chala, boi chala. Lecha dodi likrat kala yadadai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Yadadai, lecha dodi likrat kala yadadai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Yadadai, lecha dodi likrat kala yadadai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Yadadai, lecha dodi likrat kala yadadai, 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 b'nei Shabbat nekabela.
We'll remain standing and turn to page 263. So we join together in Chatzi Kaddish.
Yitkadal veyitkadash shemei rabba, ve'alma jivrach yurtei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayeichon uv'yomeichon uv'chayedecho beit Yisrael, bagala bagala uv'izman kariv ve'imeru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach le'alam alam le'almaya yitbarach ve'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitchumam v'yitnasei v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha berichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'alma ve'imeru amen. Baruchu et Adonai hamevorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai hamevorach leolam vaed.
Please be seated. Join together in Ma'ariv Aravim on page 265. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim B'chokhma Poteach She'arim Uvidvuna Meshane Itim Umachalif et Hazmanim Umesader et HaKochavim B'mishmerotehem Barakia Kirtzono Borei Yom V'Layla Golel Or Mipnei Choshech B'choshech Mipnei Or Ma'avir Yom Umevi Laila Umavdil Ben Yom Uvein Laila Adonai Tzvaot Shemo.
El Chai v'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Le'olam Va'ed Baruch Atah Adonai Hama'ariv Aravim.
Amen.
Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadeta Al kein Adonai Eloheinu b'shokbeinu v'kumeinu nasiach bechukecha ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך מצוותיך לעולם לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגע יומם ולילה, ויאהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. ברוך שם כבוד מלכותו לעולם ועד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם להות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Amen.
So we come now to Micha Mocha on page 270. We're going to sing it to them. Okay, good.
That's what it is.
So we'll sing it as we are getting closer and closer to Hanukkah every day. We got to get ready with our melodies. So we'll sing this to the tune of Ma'ot Tzur.
Definitely the first verse. Micha mocha ba'elim Adonai, Micha mocha nedar b'kodesh, norati lod osef ele, norati lod osef ele, norati lod osef ele. Should we keep on going?
Keep trying.
We can try. All right. Malchutecha ra'u banecha, bokei hayam lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, ze'lianu ve'amru, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed.
Yasher koach.
ונאמר כי פדה אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Amen.
That's a hard one to come back to. All right.
So as we prepare for Hashkivenu, we come to this evening prayer in which we ask that God bless us with a shelter of peace tonight and every night. It's a bit of a lullaby as we prepare for the end of each day.
I didn't edit it. I'm doing a different tune. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomrei Let's all try that together. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom. Whoa. V'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom. Whoa. V'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Save us for the sake of your name. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred. Shield us from hatred, from sorrow and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom. Whoa. V'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Lechaim. Lechaim.
So if you've never been to Camp Kalsman, now you can go and fit right in.
You'll know what to do.
Exactly. So we come to Veshamru on page 272.
Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
So the next part of our service, the Amidah, is probably the central part, really, of what we do when we come to synagogue and a minyan. It is our offering, our prayer to God. And it always begins with this prayer, the Avot V'Imahot, that reminds us of our ancestors, our biblical ancestors who came before us, who we're really thinking about a lot now in our weekly Torah readings as we're in these books of Bereshit and Genesis. But we're always thinking as individuals of the people who came before us, the ways in which they guided us, and the ways in which we recognize that we wouldn't be here without them. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the service, there are 3 families in our congregation who are coming to the end of Shloshim, this period of mourning in Jewish tradition, where it is our custom to invite families to share a few words about their loved ones. All 3 of the families that are coming are here to remember parents and grandparents as well. but it's really an honor to hear from each of them tonight, and we're going to space them throughout our service. So I want to first invite Irina Tabakman to come and share a few words about her father, Leon, and may his memory be a blessing.
Good evening, everyone. Closer, this way. Okay. So today is exactly 30 days since my dad passed away. Okay. 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 Now it's perfect. Today is exactly 30 days since my dad passed away, and I wanted to share a few words with you about him. My dad, Leon Matyukov, was born on January 8, 1939 in Kryvyi Rog, which is a city of central Ukraine. He was the third born in his family, the middle child among his 4 brothers, and his mom's favorite. Shortly after his birth, my grandfather moved the family to Central Asia, a sunny capital of Uzbekistan, the city of Tashkent. It is where my dad lived most of his life, earned his university degree in civil and commercial constructions, built his successful career. It is where he met my mother, where me and my brother were born, and where our dad's oldest grandson, my son, was born. At the age of 51, Dad uprooted his life, and our family moved to Canada. Dad's youngest brother, Raphael, and his wife, Saida, with Temple Sholom and Cherry family, helped and welcomed us, our family, in Vancouver when the 6 of us arrived in the cold December of 1990. And what a change that was. Dad, established in his career and his comfortable life in Tashkent, left everything behind to bring us, the next generation, to a country of milk and honey. It is where he was certain we would find happiness and freedom, where we were taught and reminded how to be Jewish again. There is so much more that could be said about this daring move. As my son said at Dad's funeral, Grandpa, my dad, was the most fearless man we knew. For our family, he was a Christopher Columbus, Marco Polo, Neil Armstrong, Yuri Gagarin. He was our Moses, taking us out of Soviet Union and bringing us to the promised land. Thanks to Dad, today, we're a family of about 30 people living in Vancouver. Besides my mom, my brother, our spouses, Dad had 4 grandchildren, which he absolutely adored, a cousin, a niece, nephew, and their kids, in-laws, and so on, and our family keeps expanding. Dad had unmatched curiosity. Whether it was geography or political news, sports, social justice, history, or cars, he could immerse himself completely and lose track of time delving into topics. He was a lot of things over his course of life. He was an engineer, he was a businessman, he was a builder, he was an athlete, he was a classical music fan. He grew up surrounded by classical music. It was his passion. He often cried listening to certain pieces. He had a both stiff upper lip and the sensitivity of a poet. He was both fierce as a lion and gentle as a lamb. He was a man of contrasts. Dad was fiercely loyal to his family, our rock and foundation. He was devoted to his family like no one else. A man of few words, he expressed his love not through grand declarations, but through acts of services and generous gifts. We never heard him say no to a family member. And his eyes. He had the most big, beautiful blue eyes. And I think as he aged, and especially in the last parts of his life, we all noticed that it's gotten even bluer, as if it's even possible. And even in his final few weeks, when he was sick, tired, might have been scared, might not have known where he was or what was going on, but if you looked into his eyes, you could see his soul. And you could see that 15-year-old boy inside bursting with a zest for life. Lastly, but not least, it's the role my parents played in each other's life. They were married for 55 years, a testament to their love and dedication. In recent years, when Dad required more attention and support, Mom spent countless hours caring for him. Since April, when Dad was hospitalized and later moved into a long-term care facility, Mom didn't miss a single day visiting him. Rain or shine, she took public transit to be by his side. She brought him food, groomed him, spoon-fed him, and cared for him with incredible devotion. We often joke that not many patients in the hospital were treated to a daily caviar service. My dad certainly was, thanks to Mom, love, and care. Dad was generous, courageous. He was devoted to his family like no one else. And we were incredibly fortunate to have had him in our lives for as long as we did. We miss you, Papa. So long. Thank you. Thank you so much for everything.
Irina. Thank you so much. A beautiful tribute to your dad, Irina. We're going to continue now with the Amidah, the Tefillah, as we rise on page 273.
Adonai, sifatai tiftachu fi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע, משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים. ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלע. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Amen. Please be seated. Continue on page 279 with Ritzeh.
Ritzei Adonai Eloheinu, be'amecha Yisrael, u'tefi אותם באהבה תקבל, ותהי לרצון תמיד עבודת ישראל. ישראל עמך, אל קרוב לכל קורב פני, אל עבודך וחוננו, שפוך רוחך עלינו, ותחזינה עינינו בשובך לציון. ברחמים ברוך אתה אדוני, שהמחזיר שכינתו לציון, לציון.
We join in our prayer of gratitude, giving thanks for the miracles of each day. 4 lines from the bottom to page 280.
ועל ניסיך שבכל יום עמנו, ועל נפלותיך וטובותיך מעולם קיווינו לך, מעולם קיווינו לך. ועל ניסיך שבכל יום עמנו, ערב ובוקר וצהריים, מעולם קיווינו לך, מעולם קיווינו לך. הטוב כי לא חלום רחמך, והמרחם כי לא תמו חסדיך, מעולם קיווינו לך, מעולם קיווינו לך.
As we turn now to page 282, we'll join in this prayer for peace. Shalom Rav.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Sing that again. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav תשים לעולם, כי אתה מלך אדון לכל השלום, כי אתה מלך אדון לכל השלום. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tov beinecha levarech et Amcha Yisrael bechol leit uvechol sha'ah b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Baruch atah Adonai hamevarech et amo Yisrael bashalom.
Take a few moments now for silent prayer.
עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו אמן. Woo! Yalla la 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 la, yalla la la la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la, yalla la 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 la. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ועל כל יושבי תבל, ואמרו amen.
Invite everyone, if you would, to turn to page 371. So together we can offer a Misha Berach, a prayer for healing. In the Shabbat, we're particularly thinking of Sue Aft, Arslan Ilyasov, Ron Blumenthal, Arthur Gutman, Neil and Jan Schloss, Yossi Shemesh, Rose Muchnick, Roger Seelig, Yosefa Bar-Chava Umordechai, Joel Greenberg, Natalie Schechter and Jerry Schechter, Rosa Tessler-Mabe, Miriam Friedberg, Sonia Ratke, Kevin Pepper, Richard Kozicki, Maury Dozer, Sherry Fiedler, Marina, Shannon Wall, Virginia Edwards, Natalie Wormelli, Claire Columbia, Carla Zivet, Janet Gelb, and David Shlomo Gorney. I invite you, if there are other people you're thinking of, if you'd like to include their names as well, if you could rise and share them at this time.
Ellen McCallum and Mel Ennis. Rita Axel Brown and Gregory Fox.
מי שברך אבותינו מקור הברכה לאמותינו, may the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say amen. Mi sheberach imotenu mekor habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal
So one of the parents that we are remembering tonight is someone who was a parent and a grandparent to much of this congregation and community. So of course, Sarah Chiachi. And it's not only coming to the end of Shloshim for Sarah, but today is also, or would have been, Sarah's 100th birthday. You know, it was a day she was really looking forward to, and though she died just over a month ago, her presence is still certainly very much with us every day. And so we're very honored to have Sarah's son Raymond here to share a few words of memory about his mother.
Now can you hear me? Good. My mother always said, be brief, and I will be. Couple of things. She was determined to make it to 100, but the painkiller that she was taking actually impeded that will, which many, many of you have said to me, have called her the force. And she was, without question, a force. I would watch her from Victoria, sitting close to where my wife is sitting in a wheelchair. And I was thinking, when she wasn't there, I would phone her doctor, and the doctor immediately would go to the house to see how she was doing. Her presence is everywhere in this synagogue, in action and in words. And I thought, what better than for you, instead of hearing from me, to hear from her and her words. This is just a very short passage from an interview by Lee May Anderson entitled A Journey. Just a small section. With time came memories of marriage, of babies who became teenagers, and then young adults, mingled with birthdays, special events, even divorces and deaths. The Second World War, though a horrific time, whose events affected my memories of the period and even those of subsequent years, also introduced us to new ideas and visions of a world that was changing and expanding almost beyond imagination. When you were with Sarah, my mother, you had to be very, very astute and listen to her. An adverb is very important. And she talked this way. As I read this, I grew up with this. I heard that voice which would say, I will tell you once and you have it, right? Almost. Just say that last part again. And visions of a world that was changing and expanding almost beyond imagination. My mother wouldn't say expanding beyond imagination, because that adverb is so important. I will continue. This will be short. By 1973, now financially secure and having reached the empty nest period of my life, I had time to pursue social and personal activities that interested me. I joined and became very active in Temple Sholom, a newly formed Jewish Reform congregation, and the B'nai B'rith Women, a charitable and educational organization that was based in the United States and had less than a dozen chapters in Canada. In April of 1982, I joined a tour group led by Temple Sholom for a 3-week visit to Israel. My experiences on this trip charged and guided my life and work to the present day. The first time I came to Israel, I felt that I was home. That is, I didn't feel at home, I just was. The old city, the Western Wall, the friendly young men and women in their army uniforms, assault rifles slung across their backs, these were things I had read, heard about, and later was to write about. Now, walking the narrow, sun-baked streets of Jerusalem, even listening to the voices called in a language I didn't understand, it all felt familiar. It all felt right. I share these words with you because they're her words of something that I believe I understood, I lived through it, a change that happened to her. It started in this temple. It accelerated, if I can put it that word. It's not maybe the best word, but it grew after that first trip in Israel. And when I think that a 54-year-old woman could suddenly realize that this was her life, and 54 to almost 100 is a lot of years to be able to make that happen.
Thank you so much, Ray, for those words and bringing her voice back to this space. I will mention that the Temple Shalom Sisterhood, in honor of Sarah's birthday, created a second edition of her cookbook, Sarah's Kitchen. That's really beautiful, and it's just as of today, right? Taking pre-orders from that. So if you get the Sisterhood email, you probably saw that. If not, it'll be in the congregational emails. It's very fitting for her birthday that has been announced. I'm going to just let you know that there are lots of upcoming events and activities happening for Hanukkah coming up in the next number of weeks. I'm not going to go through them all, but you can find them here as well as online on our website. So I have a difficult question to ask you. Do you think anti-Semitism is inevitable? I'm seeing nods and shakes of no, by the way. So I really struggle with this question. On the one hand, what we are experiencing and seeing in our world right now leads me to believe that the oldest hatred, as we often call it, is now, of course, rearing its head once again, and perhaps follows a pattern that is bigger and more entrenched than any one of us can imagine. It's kind of a dangerous sort of civilizational equilibrium that always brings people back to blame Jews for the woes of society. Our friend from Israel, who's a friend of Temple Shalom, Yossi Klein Halevi, wrote this week an article in which he said, "No other hatred is so adaptable. In its way, the persistence of anti-Semitism through most of recorded history is an achievement as astonishing as Jewish survival." He continues, "Anti-Semitism is the transformation of the Jews into the Jew, a symbol of whatever gives a given civilization regards as its most loathsome qualities. For Christians until the post-Holocaust era, the Jew was the Christ killer, guilty of the ultimate crime of trying to murder the source of hope. For Muslims, the Jew was the killer of prophets, the ultimate crime for a faith founded in veneration of the prophet. For Marxists, the Jew was the ultimate capitalist. Marx, the son of a Jew who converted to Christianity, wrote that money was the jealous God of Israel. And for Nazis, the Jew was the ultimate race polluter, and no less dangerous, the inculcator of conscience, undermining the Aryans' ability to survive in a brutal world. So, Yossi Klein Halevi seems to answer my opening question with yes, that anti-Semitism might be inevitable. And yet, Judaism is firm in the belief that though we might see patterns of history repeat themselves, that time is not understood as an endless repetition. Rather, as Rabbi Yitz Greenberg teaches, Jews practically invented time, or at least its significance and meaning. Jewish religion broke from the pagan and Stoic Hellenist understanding that time loops in endless circularity, going nowhere in an eternal recurrence. Judaism taught that time has a positive direction. The world is moving from a present state of conflict, suffering, and war to an ultimate redemption, a messianic state where war, conflict, oppression, poverty, and hatred will be overcome. So Rabbi Yitz Greenberg says to that question, no, anti-Semitism is not inevitable. Now, this question, of course, is not just a theoretical sort of exercise, but facing us as Canadian Jewry head on. I'm sure some of you read the article by Terry Glavin this week in the Free Press about the current state of anti-Semitism in Canada, that there is a 670% rise in anti-Semitic occurrences from coast to coast from the past year. If you haven't read it, I encourage you to do so. I know Ezra's email from Federation today had a link to it this afternoon. But even though it is quite present, it still is uncertain and unclear about the inevitability of that state of hatred in the world. So to help us think about this question, we can look to a very unusual detail in this week's parashah, something that might help us to think about this issue. In the parashah Vayishlach, we have a reunification of the twin brothers, Jacob and Esau. If you'll remember from 2 weeks ago, they had that fractious beginning of their lives where they fought all the time. And at the end of that parashah, Jacob disguised himself as Esau and went to their father Isaac for a blessing that was due to Esau as the firstborn son. Esau was so angry and mad what his brother had done that Jacob ran away. Their mother had said to Jacob to leave because your brother will kill you. And it's this week that they come together once more. Their paths literally cross on the road, and we as the readers are faced with a real sense of tension. What's going to happen when these two brothers see each other once again? Will Esau seek revenge on Jacob, or perhaps the passage of time and maturity might guide them to reconciliation? In anticipation, Jacob actually divided the family in two, so in case Esau should become vengeful, that he wouldn't wipe out the entire family line. Here's the unusual detail that I mentioned that can help us with our puzzling question. You see, when the two brothers finally do meet, it goes better than anticipated. We read, Esau ran to greet Jacob. He embraced him, and falling on his neck, he kissed him and wept. Sounds nice. In the Torah, the passage is written in an unusual way. The word he kissed him, vayishakehu, is written with a dot over every letter. Now, you might know in the Sefer Torah and the Torah scroll there are no vowels or cantillation marks, but sometimes there are these interesting little pieces of calligraphy that have become tradition and passed down from scribe to scribe in each generation. And in that word, we see these little dots above that word. Now, the classic commentators think that this tradition of the dots stem from a deep suspicion of Esau. He, we learn, was the progenitor of the Edomites, who would later go to war with the Israelites. And the rabbis actually, in rabbinic tradition, map Esau to represent Rome, the Roman Empire, and other oppressive rulers. There's actually a rabbinic phrase, Esau hates Jacob, that becomes a sort of little aphorism for anti-Semitism throughout the years. And it's no surprise that because of that tension, that the little dots on top of that verb that he kissed him become a little play of interpretation. There's a midrash that says that that word did not actually mean that Esau kissed him, but that he bit him. The midrash says that Jacob's neck became marble, and the teeth of the wicked one, Esau, were blunted. And that when it says that he wept, it was not in tears of joy and relief, but that one wept on account of the pain in his neck, and the other on account of his teeth. The rabbis projected their anxiety about Jewish safety and the trustworthiness of those whom they saw as fundamentally unlike us onto Esau. But what makes me feel a little bit better is another verse that comes just a few lines later after that kiss/bite. Jacob says to his brother, "Seeing your face is like seeing the face of God." Now, earlier in the parasha, Jacob had that famous wrestling match with an angel, or maybe with God, or maybe with himself. But there he saw the face of God, and his twin brother, whom he had feared to meet again as an enemy, also had the face of God. It seems that the parasha wants us to be thinking about seeing that panim, that face of God, not only in those whom we instinctively like or trust, but also in those with whom we might grapple or struggle. Torah doesn't tell us whether Esau genuinely felt love for his brother at their reunion or maybe really wanted to bite him in the neck. And Torah doesn't tell us whether Jacob really saw the face of God in his brother or whether he was lying through his teeth because that's what he thought would keep him safe. We can't be naive to the vicious hatred we face, but we do still need to hold out for a future day when brothers can embrace. Who those brothers will be and when that will happen, no one knows. But as Jews who plant seeds of hope and life, we continue to dream for that day. Our hope for the possibility of that world of redemption free from hatred and prejudice should never falter. Even with bite marks on our necks, we envision a world where kisses are just as they seem. Shabbat Shalom. I'll invite everyone to turn back in the siddur to page 586. Please rise for Aleinu.
Sorry. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולת ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נוטה שמיים ויוסד הארץ, ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו אפס זולתו, כך כתוב בתורתו, וידעת היום והשבות אל לבבך, כי אדוני הוא האלוהים בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת, אין עוד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
Please be seated. The final remembrance for our service tonight is of Sesi Dayan, and I want to invite his children, Michael and Shoshana, to come and share a few words about their father.
I want to begin by thanking the clerical staff here for inviting us to come, and to thank all of you for taking a few moments to honor our father with us. My dad was born in Heliopolis, a suburb of Cairo, and he enjoyed a prosperous life until shortly before his bar mitzvah, when the Jews of Egypt were given 48 hours and told to sign over all of their assets and to flee the country. This was a defining moment for my dad and for my family, and survival came with some very difficult and painful choices. My dad attended a boarding school in Paris before moving to Vancouver, where he lived most of his life before finally finding his home in Israel. Dad made a living as a lawyer, but he really lived in a state of creative and critical thinking. It was common to find Dad engaged in deep reading of his favorite Jewish philosophers, Philo, Fackenheim, and Levinas, in introspective contemplation about the meaning of life, or to be greeted by him with the question of, what should I do when I grow up? Dad was a gifted artist, a sculptor of marble and clay, an oil painter who loved his nudes, a poet, a playwright, a novelist. Dad sang in the choir. He was an avid chess player, and he swam daily. Dad would tell me not to take life too seriously, and would always have a play on words, a joke, or a chuckle at hand to back that up with. Dad taught me to embrace life with full enthusiasm. Dad taught me to think creatively, to think abstractly, to think critically, to never get beholden to a particular line of thinking. Dad taught me to love, to cherish, and to explore Israel and my Jewish identity. It hasn't been easy without Dad in some terrestrial capacity. At Dad's funeral and Shiva, in Dad's 4 children, and in his wife Ruti, I could glimpse traces of Dad's influence, and I could feel Dad's love in each of us. The dignity and poise of each of these unique but connected individuals reassures me that some of Dad's beauty lives on. Thanks.
I wrote this poem for my dad. Dad, I will love you forever. Kaddish. Yitgadal v'kadash. Father unending, rising higher to light, to dancing above the stars, entering the infinity of one, the vast emptiness of everything that is also nothingness, cells becoming. And you reach the mountain kingdom, Dad, of heaven's gate, welcoming you home, entering the golden gate of God's house. Seated on his throne, you arrive to him, emerging soul, pure light, going home to kingdom's heaven, absorbing and absorbed energies colliding in synchronicity. Dad, leaving me to beyond the stars, reading Plato turns visits to Plato. Philo philosophizing turns to debates, one-on-one, as Sezi enters philosopher's heaven. Visits by Sezi to Modigliani and Kandinsky as you discuss art, creation, and the process of absorbing beauty and transforming sight into creation. You are now infinite, Dad, rising higher and higher. You are now one with all that was and all that is, enraptured in your energetic halo, light shadow of all you were on earth, unending potential, fulfilled dreams. I helped you redefine yourself as father. You helped me return to daughter, now alone without you, needing to be mother, absorbing daughter as I walk alone. Dad, you are now part of all that came before you. You are part of every breath I take. I'll find you in my brother's inquisitive nature reading books and in his jokes with his daughter. I'll find you in my son's smile. I'll find you in my laughter. I'll find you in my daughter's strong will and unending loyal love. I'll find you in my thoughts. I'll find you in the voice inside my head. I'll find you in the poems that will now exist through me. I'll find you in all that is and will be. I'll find you in the emptiness, and I'll find you in all that is. I'll find you in everything, as now you are all. You are the light that finds me through this night.
Thank you, Shoshana and Michael, to everyone for sharing 3 really remarkable lives. Really an honor. So as we come now to recite the Kaddish, we'll share the names of those in our congregation we are remembering, and I invite you as I read the name of your loved one, if you would please stand as you honor their memory. We're in Shloshim for Laura Richmond, Bud Reback, Chuck Herman, Riva McWilliam, Manuel Rootman, Sezi Diane, Roberta Kremer, Leon Matyukov, Nini Rostaker-Shipman, and Sarah Chiachi. We mark yahrzeit this week of Sonia Ackerman, Annette Rosalie Albert, Faye Belogus, Beryl Bakalinsky, Samuel Brose, Helen Cherry, Sylvia Sorba, Bob Kronk, Ruth Davis, Vernon DeWitt, George Feldman, Phyllis May Gallen, Edith Gecker, Eileen Goldberg, Jan Greenberg, Hans Shmuel Gruenthal, Marjorie Hamilton, Samuel Heller, Paul Heller, Nessie Herman, Rutger Stanley Horst, Dr. Sidney Kaplan, Gordon Keith, Morton Nazan, David Corbin, Dorothy Leffert, Toby Lennett, Harold Lennett, Lily Libben, Joseph Hillel Lichtenstein, Rhonda Mandelman, Betzalel Mondlach, Harry Ozier, Joel Pohl, Pearl Rosenbaum, Judith Schachter, May Lavon Schnell, Shandel Shapira, Sarah Slabinski, Glenn Sleekus, David Unterman, Albert Jacob Van Haren, Mildred Valentine Weinstein, Ann Winter, Peter Pesha Zaks. There are others who have come to say Kaddish and remember a loved one. If you would stand and share their name at this time. We stand now as one congregation beside all those who mourn and invite you to turn to page 598, the mourners and those who join with them in these words of Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chaye chon uvyomei chon uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'zman kari v'imru, Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'l'amei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, v'yit'aleh, v'yitalal, shmei dekudsha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru, Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Yehi zichronam livracha. May their memories always be a blessing. Amen. We'll remain standing. We're going to conclude with Kiddush and Motzi before our closing song and to join together for our Oneg Shabbat in the social hall.
You want to do Kiddush or you want me to? I haven't done it in ages. I'll do it. Vayehi erev vayehi voker yom hashishi vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzva'am vayechal Elohim bayom hashvi'i melachto asher asa vayishbot bayom hashvi'i mikol melachto asher asa vayevarech Elohim et yom hashvi'i vaykadesh oto ki vo shavat mikol melachto asher bara Elohim la'asod Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho be'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu zikaron le'maaseh v'reshit Ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh zecher letziad Mitzrayim Ki banu v'charta v'otanu kidashta mikol hamim v'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava uvratzon Hinchaltanu Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. Amen.
L'chaim. Joshua, you want to come help with Hamotzi? No? Okay, all right. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen. All right. If you need the words, they're on 625. אדון עולם אשר מלך בטרם כל יציר נברא, לית נשא בחפצו כל, אזי מלך שמו נקרא, ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא, והוא היה והוא ההווה והוא יהיה בתפארה, והוא אחד ואין שני, להמשילו להכבירה, בלי ראשית בלי תכלית, ולא העוז והמשרה, והוא אלי וחי גואלי, וצור חבלי בעת צרה, והוא ניסי ומנוס לי, מנת כוסי ביום אקרא, בידו אפקיד רוחי, בעת אישן ואירה, ואם רוחי גוויעתי, אדוני לי ולא אירא.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.